Hi, John Chapin with your latest sales tip. And today I'm going to talk to you about how to deal with a person who wants to know every single detail about your product and just can't seem to get enough information. This can also be the know-it-all who's done a ton of research online. They come in with a folder full of paper and information, and they want to see if you know as much as they do. So these people tend to be your engineers, accountants, lawyers, doctors. They're usually very intelligent people who need to be very detail-oriented in their professions. As far as personality types go, these are your analytics, because again, they usually need to closely analyze things at work, so they also want to analyze every little tidbit of information on your product. On average, look, you're only going to run into these people, about 18% of the time, depending upon what you sell and who you sell to. If, for example, you're selling to accountants, lawyers, engineers, and other detailed individuals, of course, you'll run into them much more often. Also, if you sell a highly technical product, the prospect might be a little more technical, or they'll have you talk to an engineer or technician at their company who's going to ask you a bunch of technical questions. These people have a hard outer shell. They're the most difficult people to build trust and rapport with. Generally speaking, they aren't people. Think of Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory. Because they are the opposite of personality type of most salespeople have trouble being patient enough with these people and answering all their questions. And these are the type of people who, if you show them patience and don't answer all their questions with the necessary detail, you'll lose them. And the sales process will stop dead in its tracks. That said, if you are patient, you're able to intelligently and thoroughly answer all their questions, these people can become your best customers and references. This is one group of people where you're going to find yourself tending to talk a little bit more than with other people. So with a typical person on an initial call, you want to be talking about 20% of the time, and a lot of that's going to be asking questions, listening 80% of the time. With the analytics, that's going to shift more to 50-50. It may even get to the point where you're talking more than you're listening. Also, with this group, you may find yourself talking more about features than benefits. And while you still want to mention the benefits after a feature, these people don't just want to know what your product does and thus does for them. They want to know how it does it. A good analogy of this is when they walk into a room, they don't simply want to know you flip the light switch and the lights go on. They want to know how and why the lights go on when you flip the switch. Either way, when you're working with these people, it's crucial that you not only know the features and the functions of your product and everything about it, but also the competition's product as well. In addition, you want to have a wide breadth of information on your product and how it operates in the real world. Lots of examples. One other thing, with this particular group, guarantees, testimonials, other forms of proof, extremely important. So how else do you work with these people? Another thing, show patience and ensure them that you're more than happy to answer all their questions as thoroughly as possible, and ensure that they have all the information and answers that they need. Next, you want to compliment them for their knowledge. Like, wow, you sure know quite a bit about this. Or, wow, guess you've really done your homework on this, huh? Wow, of all the people I've talked to, I think you know more about this than anyone. Of course, when you are talking to anyone, mirroring is important, but it will be especially important with this group. They tend to talk a little slower and not use a lot of hand gestures or body language. Typically with this group, you want to speak slowly and clearly. Clearly means with the right volume so they can actually hear you, and it means you pronounce and enunciate your words. Of course, that's unless they talk quickly and they use a lot of hand gestures or body language, but with this group, that would definitely be the exception to the rule. Your sales process or cadence will also tend to differ with this group. Usually they have many questions. After answering a question, you of course want to ask if you in fact answered it to their satisfaction, but after that, instead of asking if they have more questions, you can simply pause, look at them, and wait for another question. Now, if they pause for an extended period of time or they look at you like they're waiting for you to speak, then you can ask if they have more questions. But if they have 7 questions, which is typical, and after your answer and you verify each one, you say, so do you have any other questions? They're going to get irritated after about the 3rd time you ask that. Again, with most people who may only have 1 or 2 questions, asking if they have another question after you just answered one, it's not a big deal. But with a person who has lots of questions, it can be an issue. So just assume they have more than 1 or 2 questions. The biggest objections you can probably guess: I need more information and I need more time to think about it. As I've mentioned in other videos, agree with any objection you get up front. Yeah, I definitely understand. Then directly ask for information, what information they need, reminding them you're the expert with all the information, can give them all the information they need, or if they need to think about it, ask directly. Okay, so what do you need to think about? Again, feel free to go back to the videos I did specifically on those 2 objections. In any case, expect and be ready for those 2 objections with this particular group. So overall, with this group, you've got to know your product extremely well and be able to clearly convey information about it. You also have to be very patient and make sure you thoroughly answer all their questions. This group can be tough to close the first time you talk to them, but if you're very knowledgeable about your product and more than willing to convey all that information to them, you can close these people. Just don't expect this to be the less you tell, the more you sell situation, because it's likely to be the opposite of that. So, okay, if you found this video helpful, hit the like button, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments if there's any particular sales situation or subject you want me to cover, and I'll do a video or 2 on it.